The filming side, it just takes a bit more time out of your day sort of thing to get jobs done. Do you know what I mean? If you're a normal electrician, you come and get your job done and go home, but you do have to do a lot more planning and thinking.
I think the biggest issue with our whole industry is the governing bodies that we've got and we have to bow down to.
Oh, definitely working with Jordan. I mean, I hope he laughs at this, because as lovely as he is, if I see that I'm working with him, I know I'm going to be getting home late.
And you know how you're winded, you can't actually say anything, you're just making noise through your mouth.
My name's John, I'm 35 from Harlow. I became an electrician because my old man said if you get a trade, you have a job for life. I was a bit of an underachiever at school, but a Sparky's the smartest trade, and I could do a little bit of maths and science, so I pursued that.
So I'm 17, from where I was raised in a little town towards Cambridge, but now I'm living in Hertfordshire, and for Artisan I'm just the apprentice, mate. I'd always thought being an electrician would be cool, but to be honest it was just the only thing going, and I've known Jordan for years, so I saw it pop up on Instagram, and yeah, away we went.
My name's Luke Williams, I'm 32, dear 32, and I'm from Essex, just near Stansted Airport. I never planned to when I was at school to become an electrician. I was one of these people that really didn't know what they wanted to do. I went to college for 3 years, came out of there, and then I just actually worked up Stansted Airport for a good 8 years, and then I started going with my friends. A few of my friends were in the trades, carpenters and things like that. And when we was always going out for dinners, I was talking about it. And I was always interested in having some sort of trade, but I never actually went down that path. And then it got to a point where I had children, I wanted to buy a house, and I thought I need something sturdy behind me. So I looked at different routes, and electrician won it over for me, because none of my friends were actually electricians, they was all carpenters, plumbers, so I thought I would like to do that. So yeah, I took that route. I went to evening college and learned to become an electrician for the next, 3 years.
So I'm Lee, I've been with Artisan coming up for 1.5 years now. Going to be 32 soon, and been an electrician since about 2009. I guess a lot of people, they just kind of fall into it. It's not something that you dream of doing when you're younger, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to be an electrician. I remember being in my last year of school, and I just heard someone talking about their dad being an electrician, and I always knew I wanted to do something practical, so I just sort of thought, oh, I'll give that a go, and just enjoyed doing it. But I've always done sort of hands-on work, so I used to go work with my dad on building sites and stuff, so yeah, I knew I didn't want to be sort of sitting in an office.
So you're a little way into your apprentice now, but looking back, do you have any regrets about taking on an electrical apprentice over anything else?
No. Being an electrician is pretty cool as it is, and even though going through an apprenticeship, it's actually, I know of like John and Lee who have had more kind of troublesome apprenticeships, or it's not troublesome but more difficult to get through because of the people they've worked with. But being in this company, you're kind of like got that guarantee that you're going to be working with someone who's actually nice and like takes care and kind of teaching you. So I've got that kind of guarantee, so no, I've got no complaints.
So I done a 4-year modern apprenticeship. It was 1 day a week at college, and the company I worked for, it was Eastern Contracting, and we done everything from industrial, commercial, domestic. So we had ongoing domestic projects that we would get dumped on if we didn't have industrial projects. So it was such a varied apprenticeship. I was so lucky to have the opportunity to learn in that environment and learn under so many different people, because there's about 30 electricians I learned from. So I could just pick the best bits from them to mould myself into who I am today.
No, so I've never had an apprenticeship. I went to college for 3 years full time, and then when that finished, I started working at a local hospital doing electrics with a firm, and then it just sort of went on from there. And through the last sort of 11 or 12 years, I've done courses myself off my own back. So I've done AM2, MVQ, got my gold card, done my testing and inspecting, done that at night, night college, so I was working up London, coming back to Hertford, going to college in the evenings till about 9. A couple of years ago, done my electric vehicle course, and then hopefully a couple of weeks do my solar course as well.
Yeah, I found it a lot better because I feel, as an adult learner, which I was, and the fact I had to pay for it myself, I was a lot more interested and I wanted to do well at it. I wanted to actually put my time and effort into it, and I felt like, I mean, some people do it at school and they only do it because they just, I mean, it's something to do after school because they have to, but I feel, yeah, if you do it as an adult and it is the fact you're paying for it, you are a lot more dedicated to it.
I was working for the DNO, well, a DNO, but it weren't just doing networking, it was doing everything. It was a contracting company, but we did work on networks as well, up to 33 kV. But it's just like everything, the work started getting a bit tedious, so I fancied a change, and I went into social housing, doing EICRs. Then I moved again into the more private sector of domestic work, and then I got fed up of not doing quality work. So it's all just throw the cables in and that was it. So decided to, I mean, I used to watch Artisan on YouTube, and so I contacted Jordan and went for the job because I just want to do quality work, and this company does exactly that.
Just looking into the electrical regulations, what's one regulation you would change and why would that be?
See, for me, I feel I'm not in a position to really state on that. I mean, I'm fairly familiar with them, but I don't know all the regulations still, sort of thing. I still have to look myself, regulations in the book, so personally for me, I feel like I'm not in a position to say one regulation that shouldn't be there.
I got no clue, but maybe just cut to John, probably just slating the NIC, because he loves to do that.
See, regulations are done by people a lot smarter than me, and there's common sense behind all of them. I think the biggest issue with our whole industry is the governing bodies that we've got, and we have to bow down to the NIC, NAPIT and the like, because they don't actually, why do I have to bow down to someone that I'm a fully qualified electrician and I've got to pay someone to come and tell me I'm a good qualified electrician? It's absolutely ridiculous. We need to have a government body and get them involved, but I don't think it's gonna, like a sort of gas safe, but I don't think it's gonna happen unless there's a serious death, or, you know, Part P was a knee-jerk reaction to an MP's child dying. Until we get like a celebrity or someone, or more people die of electricity, we're not going to get that, and then that will stop the cowboys and it'd be able to govern our industry and keep the quality high.
Do you have any regrets about your career choice? Anything you would do differently?
Regrets not earning as much money as what other people earn, but you just live to what you earn, so I don't think you can regret what you're doing. You just cope with where you're at and try to do the best for yourself.
Yeah, when you're in a loft in a 40-degree heat, you have a lot of regrets. But no, I thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, I know it's cringing, cliche, and everyone says that when you apply for a job and they say every day is different. But well, so far for me, generally every day is different, and there's generally not a day. My previous jobs, I'd wake up and go, oh, I don't want to go to work today. I don't want to go to work. I can't bother. But with being an electrician, I generally don't mind getting up to go to work.
Looking back, no, because I'm very good at what I do, but I wish I studied harder at school, because then there's so many different options open to you. It's certainly why I tried to put on my kids. I'd be quite disappointed if one of my kids worked with their hands. If you work with your mind, you can work forever. I can only work until I'm about 50.
What do you like most about working for Artisan Electrics?
I like, what do I like? I like how everyone I work with has an interest in what they're doing, and I think everyone wants the best for the company, the best for themselves. So you kind of push each other to do a better job every time. You push yourself to learn new things. So like, I'm going to be learning solar, battery. I know a lot of other companies I've worked for, I wouldn't have learned that. I'd be stuck day in, day out, just go put some tray up or something, and you kind of get left behind. Whereas I like new things that come out. You kind of one of the first people to see things, try things. Like the other week we got hands-on to look at the new mega tester, and it's opportunities like that you don't get in other companies. So yeah, I really enjoy that side of things.
That's a difficult one. It probably is just like the guys at Artisan, because it's just like, it's easy to work with them, and we all have a laugh. Like, we're staying away here and just like, I don't know, we just kind of mess about, and well, obviously we get the job done, but we do just mess about, and it's actually enjoyable to work with guys, so probably that.
Most or hate? Most. Thing I like most is, cringy as it is, it's the people we work with. Do you know what I mean? It's a small company at the moment, and everyone knows each other, like the back of the hand sort of thing. And it's just, yeah, it's a good group to work with. You know, you can come and work and have a laugh, but also be serious at the same time.
It sounds like a repeat, but I really enjoy the quality work. The company's small enough that it feels like a little family, and they do genuinely care about you. The people we work with are really good at what they do, and you know, Jordan's got quite big visions for the company, and he does involve us all in that, and yeah, it's quite cool. And it's quite cool to document yourself, because I mean, my kids watch me on YouTube now, so that's nice.
What's the worst thing about working for Artisan Electrics?
Probably the people. Nah, the worst thing. Oh, don't know. I feel like I'm not really in a position to answer that.
I'd probably say as enjoyable as it is, and I knew what I was signing for, and I actually do want to do it, is the filming side. It just takes a bit more time out of your day, sort of thing, to get jobs done. Do you know what I mean? If you're a normal electrician, you come and get your job done and go home, but you do have to do a lot more planning and thinking to base coming up with ideas for content. So,
Oh, definitely working with Jordan. I mean, I hope he laughs at this, because as lovely as he is, if I see that I'm working with him, I know I'm going to be getting home late.
Sometimes the filming can be a bit difficult. I don't know how some of the other Sparks do it when they're recording themselves, editing, like Nick Bundy, how on earth he manages to churn out that many videos and still have a electrical contracting company. I don't know. I mean, it's hard enough us having a professional cameraman with us, so that's very, very difficult. Also, my rubbish van, my hand-me-down from Corey, is pretty pants.
What's one tool that you've brought yourself, or maybe even been gifted, that you thought would be useless, but it's actually a game changer?
I actually got it in my pocket.
oh, of course you did something.
So, I bought this years ago, probably for about £1, and it's just a little data stripper. It's literally just a bit of plastic with, you've got a little blade in there, and just a little bit of metal just to punch down. And for what it is and how much it costs, it's just a throwaway tool, but every time I'm doing data on a car charger, or if we're terminating any data in a house, just to get that out and strip the cable. No, you're not going to cut through the cores or anything. Like, you can't beat having one in your tool bag just for, like, you don't have to buy expensive things. It's yeah, a lot of people think you need the best thing out there, whereas sometimes, like, yeah, you just go simple.
Oh, you know what? The EV Ultra, like, stripper tool. When I first got it, I think I was with Corey at the time, and I used it, and I was like, mate, I'm sorry, this is rubbish. But once you actually get like a knack for it, it's actually quite good. So yeah, probably that.
Yeah, the best tool I use it daily, sort of thing. It's just a Nipex Ergo Stripper, I think it's called. It's just so easy to use, and it just makes stripping cables, especially things like tails and that, just 10 times easier and quicker.
The Nipex Ergo Strip, that thing, I tried it and I thought, oh, what a waste of money. And then I come back to it doing a bit of stripping tails, and it's just so perfect for stripping tails rather than using croppers, because you can go through and score the copper. And yeah, I found them fantastic for that, even though I thought they were just a cheap bit of plastic, but they're really good.
What's one electrical job that you would love to do, but you haven't yet had the opportunity to do?
Well, obviously our work, as you've seen, is mainly domestic, so I'd like to get into some more commercial industrial work, mainly industrial, because this week, I haven't really spoken about college in a while, but we've started doing some more practical, and this week we were doing tray, so it was nice to get a bit of hands-on doing it, and I quite enjoyed it. It's quite satisfying. We were making bends in the tray ourselves instead of using prefabricated ones. And yeah, just like once it's all bent into place, you've got the cuts done, it's quite satisfying, so I'd like to give it a go.
I would love to do like high voltage electrics, so like when you see companies and they're working on big like 11 kV sort of cables, or doing jointing, putting into massive mains panels and stuff. I don't know how boring it would get after a while, but just to try it and do it for a while, like I think that would be a really interesting sort of side of things.
So I've been fortunate enough to have quite a varied apprenticeship and career and done most aspects, but renewables is something I've not done. Something that Artisan are stepping into, and I have tried a little bit, but it seems to be the way that Artisan is moving towards, so I'm quite excited to go and try that out.
What piece of electrical work are you most proud of?
Like I say, I haven't been doing it for that long, but the only thing that stands out is my first board change. It was a rewire, which John and I think Ruben was doing it, and Lee maybe for the week, and I just come in on the Friday to do the board, and I just remember just walking in and I was so overwhelmed, and I thought, oh my god, like this is my first board, how am I going to tackle this sort of thing? But yeah, like I say, once you sit down, you start working through the process and breaking it down, it becomes a lot easier, and yeah, I was very happy with it. The outcome is very neat, and yeah, that's the biggest thing that stands out for me.
To be fair, because I'm fairly, like in the grand scheme of it, I am really new at this, so I haven't had a chance to do much that's quite impressive work, if you know what I mean. But probably the board that I did a few months ago, I think it was. I fired it up on my Instagram if you want. Well, yeah. Oh well, if it pops up, you'll see it.
I don't think there's one type of job that I've done that I'm proud of, but basically I started an Instagram years ago to try and keep like a portfolio of my work, of what I've done, and I like to look back and see what I've done, where I've been, because in this job you definitely get to go to places where I'd never have thought I'd be. Like, so I've done work at Tottenham Stadium when it was getting built. I've done a lot of work in their training ground, which like was fantastic. Being a Tottenham supporter, going in and out, seeing the players. I can say that I've done the lights in their gym and stuff. I've done work in Tate Modern and Tate Britain galleries in London and Liverpool. Like, you just get to go to a lot of places where normal public wouldn't get to go. So yeah, I'm quite proud to say that I've worked in them places, and just to do the best at my work and look back and say, yeah, I gave that sort of my best shot.
Do you think having your electrical work filmed makes you a better electrician, or does it just make you concentrate more on the job?
If anything, I find it the opposite. It can be quite distracting. I've always been, oh God, wait, that sounds incredibly big-headed. Hang on, let me rephrase that. I've always been a good electrician, and regardless of who's there, I never lower my standards. Whether I'm working in a social housing, a really expensive house like this, the standard doesn't change. I always treat people's installations as my own. So being filmed just means you get to capture what I do. It's just sometimes it can be distracting because we need to update the camera, and then you can kind of get flustered and forget things. And
I don't think it makes me a better electrician, because I would like to, and I'd hope to think I'd keep up the same standards if I wasn't being filmed as if I was. So I don't think really it changes me as a electrician, but yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say it would change me at all. I'd still be exactly the same person if I wasn't filmed as if I was.
I don't think it makes me any different, to be honest, because I've been doing it so long before being filmed. I've already kind of, the first 5 to 10 years, I think you kind of mould yourself into a certain type of electrician, and then to have a camera, all you'll do is you doubt yourself every now and then, and you'll be like, oh, this is going to get shown. But I mean, it just goes to show, a video went out of me cutting a bit of wood. If that was never filmed, that would have stayed and no one would ever have known. And I guarantee a lot of people would have done the same thing, or there's lots of jobs out there people would have done and nothing will happen. But because you're in front of an audience, you get picked up on any little thing, which it isn't always a bad thing because it just helps you learn more. But yeah, sometimes you can just sort of, you might doubt yourself. You'll be like, oh, don't put that online or something, because let's be realistic, not everyone works 100% every day. So like, yeah, it probably does make you a little bit more wary and probably to push yourself to be better than, I don't know, cutting a corner or something here and there.
So what's been your most embarrassing moment so far?
Like I say, I haven't been in the trade that long, so there hasn't been an awful lot gone wrong for me so far. But it was actually, I think it was just last week. I was stripping an armoured, and yes, I should have been wearing gloves, which I do from now on. But I just remember as I was doing it, I was thinking I probably should be doing this away from myself, not towards myself. And with that, the knife just come off the end, and well, I cut it open there. I actually had to go to hospital because it was bleeding that bad. I've got blood all over my boots still. Yeah, it's one of those stupid mistakes which I actually could see it happening, but I didn't stop and yeah, wear PPE.
I went on a trip away to Portugal, and the sea was quite wavy. Like the waves were quite small, but they were really strong. And this was like, I don't know, 4 years ago, so I would have been 13, 14. And I went in the sea, and then literally 2 waves later, I'd got smacked down onto the seabed, mouth full of sand. And then I came up and I was winded as well. I was like, and you know how you're winded, you can't actually say anything. You're just making noise through your mouth. I was trying to say to my friend, like, oh, I'm winded. And he didn't care, he was just laughing at me, but it is what it is. And then about 2 minutes later, after I caught my breath, I went back in, obviously, and it happened again. But this time it really hurt my face. But yeah, after that, you know, maybe take a break before the Portugal sea hits me again.
As an apprentice, I was doing some of the mains cables, and because the head was on that side and the board was over here, I just took the tails out into the meter and that way. So essentially I've put the tails in the wrong way, so the meter started running backwards. We didn't find out till months later when the lady in the house got accused of tampering with her meter, but it was me that had done it. I connected it up the wrong way around, and I got ribbed quite hard by all the electricians on site.
What's your worst experience as an electrician?
I guess the other side of the question I just answered is, as well as going to some lovely places, you also go to some places that you wish you never turned up to. So like, if you're doing EICRs and things and you're going into like a hoarder's house or something and there's absolute trash everywhere, or it's filthy and dirty, and you're like, man, what am I doing? I need another job.
I'll do 2. So one, as an apprentice, I was working with a subby, and they got a circular saw and they cut through all of the water pipes, and water was just gushing everywhere. And he was like, well, I'm going to get sacked, and left me. I was only a 2nd year apprentice, and the lady was yelling at me. Then the neighbours came in and started yelling at me. The water started leaking onto the main head as well. And yeah, it wasn't even my fault, but the fact that I had like a lynch mob there and I was only an apprentice, and that's literally what I said to people, I'm only an apprentice, and really upset about it. As an electrician, I took out a whole factory. So I was stripping an SWA, and as I was trying to snap off one of the armouring, it was only one, it went through the panel gap and touched across all 3 phases and blew the panel up, and it actually took out the whole factory, OI glass in Harlow. Well, a whole section anyway.
No, I'd say, yeah, for the worst experience, I'd say it was actually my first day with Corey. Let me finish the sentence. It wasn't my first day of Corey, but the first day I actually worked with Corey, it was an old converted barn, and I remember it was just a really hot day. We was wearing the overalls to stop ourselves from getting the loft insulation on us, and as we got up there, it wasn't until, it was a tiny little pitch roof, and it was probably about 10 metres long, and it wasn't until I was right down the end I realised there was a wasp nest above me which was stopping me from getting out. So yeah, I was screaming like a girl. There's actually a video to it still floating around somewhere, but yeah, that was probably my worst experience so far.
I haven't got too many bad experiences one time, but I remember working with, I think it was with Corey again. Well, you see, everything happens with Corey, it's bad, isn't it? But I was in this loft and he was outside and we were feeding a cable through, but it was right as the roof came down in that corner. So he was trying to push it up for me to grab it. So I had to climb in, and as you climb in, it starts to close on you, so you get stuck. And then the it's called the eaves. The eaves? Yeah. They were coming down, so you had to like squeeze in and try to shuffle down. And by the time I could actually get to it, I felt it was so claustrophobic, because I was squished down and I was squished in. I'm just trying to like reach for this cable. But yeah, that was probably the most horrible feeling. It was in insulation as well, which didn't help.
We're very fortunate to have some fantastic customers that give us lots of gifts when you arrive to jobs.
Yeah.
But what's been the worst food or drink that you've been given that you kind of had to cover up that you didn't really like?
I know. What I've poured. What was it? Chucked away. Poured. It was with Lee. It was a house in Cambridge. I'm sorry if this is you, but I just remember he made us cups of tea, and he brought them to the bottom of the stairs. And I remember I took mine. I went upstairs, took a sip of it. I looked downstairs, and I just see Lee's face, and I knew instantly he was thinking the same as me. And I think it was because he doesn't have normal milk in the house. He's one of these oatmeals or soy or something like that. And I just remember looked at him, bits just floating around everywhere. So yeah, I just went straight to the toilet and poured it down the sink, I'm afraid.
Oh, do you know what? It was Lee offered us a cookie yesterday, and it was raisin cookie. I mean, it's awful. I don't know. You managed to get double choc chip, didn't you, Luke? But I got raisin. Customers, to be honest, our customers always, they treat us really well, but my waistline keeps growing, so I really need the customers to stop giving us snacks, because they look after us too much, and it's hard to not grab a cookie as you're passing.
What's your opinion on the electrical industry as a whole?
I think there's good and bad. So on the good side of things, I love how social media is pushing people to do better work, because if you was doing rubbish work, you wouldn't be uploading it. I've definitely seen an improvement. Like, you'll take the odd board cover off and you can see someone's taken the time to dress it in and it's all nice. And you know, if you're doing work on that property, you're not really going to have many problems. I think there needs to be a bit more of a stricter policy on, a bit like people working on gas. Like, I don't think it should be easily available for the public to buy consumer units, electrical accessories, and change them themselves.
I don't know, I mean, I haven't really had to deal with it. I just kind of do the work that I'm given. But I know that there's someone in our company that's very passionate about the electrical industry, which Nathan will probably cut back to again. But yeah, he doesn't seem too much of a fan of it. I mean, he likes the electrical industry itself, but things that surround it, like, you know, certain groups of people in the electrical industry.
I think we are on the cusp of it sort of falling apart. There is a huge skill shortage, and rather than me moaning and, you know, I want to sort of try and affect change, so I'm trying to teach anyone I can, as many apprenticeships while I can. You know, the YouTube, I'm trying to use it as a platform to show anyone that wants to listen, because it's all well and good me preaching, but I was really, really fortunate to get such a fantastic apprenticeship, and not everyone's got that, and the whole country's broken, so we couldn't expect our electrical industry to be any better. But hopefully, if apprenticeships get better and there's more money in jobs and what have you, and apprentices aren't just used as second fixing, and people start taking pride in their work, things will get better.
Like I said to the previous person, I haven't been in the industry that long, so I'm in no position to comment about it really. Yes, all I can really say. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about yourself. So what's your hobbies?
I gave up my hobbies when I had kids, to be honest. I don't really have hobbies. I used to play guitar quite a lot, but that's gone by the wayside. I used to love video games, and I still love Pokemon, so is Pokemon a hobby?
My hobbies are mainly in the summer. Well, I'm trying to do it in the winter as well, but in the summer I'm just really into my motorbikes. I've ridden motorbikes most of my life. So that's how I found Jordan. I wanted to set up my Artisan itself. I wanted to set up my own motovlog channel. So that's actually how I found Artisan through YouTube. But yes, in the summer I'm trying to ride it in the winter, but it's just not as fun. So mainly for me, it's just riding motorbikes.
If you was given £1 million, but you only had to spend it within 24 hours, what would you spend it on?
It's like the film Brewster's Millions. I'll give it out to the Artisan boys for filming all their content.
Don't know, maybe a huge barrel of fuel. There we go. Sell that off in the future.
It's probably just a house. I mean, I live in a pokey little flat, so it'd probably just be a house. I know people are expecting nice cars and what have you, but that'd be about it.
It's easy, so that's too easy. I could spend £100 million in 24 hours. £1 million, I mean, the sensible route would be to pay off my mortgage and buy a nice family car, etc. But I'd also probably just like to, I don't know, go abroad and just blow it and buy a supercar probably. So yeah, £1 million, especially nowadays, £1 million just, it's not enough.
You're an apprentice, but what advice would you give to someone that is looking to become an electrical apprentice?
I mean, apprenticeships are kind of hard to come by, which is why I'm super lucky with this, and why I didn't really want to answer what I think is worse about this company, because I am super lucky and fortunate to be in this position, especially considering that they had an apprentice already. So if that had worked out, then I wouldn't have been here, and if I hadn't have seen Jordan's post, I wouldn't have been here, sort of thing. So I'm very lucky, but just kind of feeling lucky like that kind of forced me to want to be willing to do anything pretty much, and just want to put myself out there and just be like, right, just give me a job to do, I'll do it. You know, you need, you know, kind of whatever. So yeah, probably just willing to kind of go that extra mile just to earn your spot, even if it can kind of seem like there's jobs going left and right. Just focus on what you're doing, be willing to do it, and just try and enjoy it.
Try to better yourself every time you do something, and over the course of time you'll just gradually get better.
It'd be 100% do it. I mean, I had kids when I decided to do a career change, so I had an awful lot to lose. I even dropped my salary a considerable amount of money, and it was I had to go to college for 2 years and drive. It was like a 120-mile round trip going to college twice a week. But yeah, in the long run, it's definitely worth it. I've finally reached the age of 32 where I've found something that I generally want to do in life. So yeah, my biggest thing I would say, just definitely do it.